And we're live. Hello, Recovery Talk viewers. You're here with Heidi Love, and I have these two lovely gentlemen on each side of me today. How exciting! I get to be a sandwich. I'm here on the big island of Hawaii, and you are listening to Recovery Talk, which happens every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we are part of Love Coach Academy, which puts on talks 7 days a week. So check it out. There's all kinds of free support and amazing teachers and topics and helpers and coaches. And I personally love to work with individuals, families, and couples, and love the topic of love and intimacy, communication. So I'm also a recovered addict, which is why this is called Recovery Talk. So I spin that in probably a little bit in each of these calls. But if you're a non-addict or you're an addict, it doesn't matter. Stay on with us today because we're talking about the beliefs that we have that are sometimes conscious, sometimes unconscious, that harm us. And we're going to talk about how to change those. So you guys are going to get some tools today. So I'll let Timothy and my secret guest introduce themselves now.
I'm on the island of Maui. My name's Timothy Earle, and I am also a Love Coach Academy affiliate as well as a private coach. I've been doing it for over 20 years. I love working with people on issues such as intimacy, sexuality, improving their relationship, communication skills, as well as integrating all parts of themselves to become a greater adult or someone who's more aware. Some people use a big word called more enlightened, but I like to say a more realized adult. Same thing. And it's such a pleasure to be here and to get to do this every week. I'm so grateful for all of you who are watching and that are coming online, and just want to remind you that it's wonderful to have you post your comments in the chat box, and either Heidi or I will read them and include you in this talk as we move along. And, you know, Heidi and I are each on an island, but Krishna's on the largest island I know of. Where are you, Krishna?
Thank you, Timothy. I'm in Australia, world's largest island. Apparently we have COVID under control where we are, and that has a little bit to do with they've quarantined our entire island, and people have to go into a hotel for 2 weeks if they arrive, and that's if they can get here in the first place. So I've been around Love Coach Academy for 5 years. I've been a client. I've done the coaching programs. I run a family office. Sorry, high net worth family. I've been doing that for 20 years. And I've had to learn a lot about family dynamics. What makes a family work? Well, what makes it work smoothly, and what makes it work not so smoothly? It brings in an understanding of needs in the dynamic, and of course beliefs in the dynamic. And I think that leads towards that conversation today, because I understand we're talking about beliefs.
We are. So we'll dive right in. Thank you for that wonderful lead in. And again, I'm thankful to be here with you guys. One thing that the three of us have in common is parenting. And we have all different ages of kids, but I know that we're all ferocious parents that care a lot about our kids. Yeah. So we're going to talk about, if you have a pen and paper, it'd be great to grab one. If you don't worry about it. It's something you can remember for later. Good job, Timothy.
I always come to these talks with my pen and paper. I have like a whole folder that's just for learning from Heidi, because she gives us such great little tools and insights. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. So I want you guys to draw a triangle on your paper. So we're going to work with a triangle today. So I've also been doing this for about 20 years, and in watching human behavior and interaction, I've only seen two things that dynamically change someone's life or the way they behave. And I'm sure there's a million other things, but these are the two that I see the most. And one of them is you get so clear on a vision. You want it so bad. The desire is so strong, and you're so hell-bent on getting it that you're willing to do anything to move in that direction. And you begin to cut away things that are in the way of that, and you begin to see them clearly. So you move into vision. So I like you to write on your paper, vision pulls. So vision can pull you out of what we're going to talk about. That is one way that dynamic change can happen. It's less common than the next one I'm going to share with you. I aspire to be a person where vision pulls me, but the opposite has been true for me in my life up until now. And again, I'm speaking that truth into the universe. I would like to be pulled by vision from now on out. You hear that? So the thing that has made me change the most, and again, with a lot of people I work with, this is also true, is pain pushes you. The pain becomes so acute that you're no longer willing to live with it another day of your life. And then you become in a state of surrender where you're willing to do anything not to have that pain anymore. Whether it's pain of loneliness in a relationship you're in, whether it's the pain of addiction, whatever it is, it's like I'm willing to do anything not to live another day like this. And that has been my experience of quantum change, the pain pushing me instead of vision pulling me. But those are the two ways that I see it happen the most. And I'm not going to tell you what's in the triangle yet, because I'd love to hear from these guys what they have to say about vision and pain.
Krishna.
Thank you. So we're talking about vision and pain, and from what I understand, we're talking about beliefs as well. So I find, so not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I'm someone who's pulled very strongly by my vision. But what I find very interesting is the visions I create for my life actually come from the voids I've had in my life. So as a child, I didn't get the attention and love I thought I wanted, or I perceived I didn't get it. So then, of course, I create a vision around, well, how can I create connection? How can I be needed? How can I be wanted? And then I create a vision around that. And for me, I became a businessman. I developed a lot of responsibility. So I shifted my identity with an extraordinary vision.
I love it.
Absolutely. So these were cultural and these were beliefs by previous references, and yes, I shifted them with a new vision. Absolutely.
I love it. So I'm wondering if our viewers, can you just type in the chat box whether you can hear Krishna really well or not? It's just a little bit quiet for me, so I just want to check in with them because I love to hear every word you say.
And just so you know, I hear Krishna fine, and I hear you
Okay,
fine.
good.
But
Good.
we'll see if Daryl gives us an answer. I find in my work within myself and with clients that people are motivated in two ways. One is we lost Krishna. I'm sure he'll come back in. One is that people are drawn towards the vision in Heidi's language, or they are, here he comes, there he is. Mm-hmm. They are, so for example, there are people who observe and watch and witness and then decide where they're going to go. They're creating a vision, but they're doing it out of really looking and examining what opportunities exist. And these people tend to have easier lives. Even when difficulties arise, they sit back, they observe, they take stock, and they create a vision that fits what's arising, that meets their needs. Most people, but I'm probably projecting because that's kind of how I've lived my life, have to get to a place where it's so painful that they eventually look at the beliefs that are running them and decide to change it, create a new vision, or allow themselves to take stock, observe what's really going on, and work with that in a new way. I think, and we're not getting into this triangle today, but I think one of the pitfalls of people who, and I'm including myself, people who are motivated to move away from pain, is that sometimes the pain gets so wrapped in their beliefs that they begin to think that there's no way out, and they become kind of stuck victims, permanent victims, if you will. And that's a really difficult place to be. So if you're in a place in your life right now where you feel like the world is doing it to you, and it's everybody else's fault, and you have no responsibility in it at all, hopefully today's talk will help you begin to look at seeing that there's another way, and that you can get out of that type of belief system and move to a more empowered place where you can have a vision and you see people as allies to help you get to where you want to go.
I love it. Thank you for throwing that out there, Timothy. So again, for those of you just jumping on, please let us know you're here. You can comment in the chat box on Facebook, and Timothy and I will answer you and read the comments too as best we can. And we love interacting with you. So if you have questions for any of us or you want to make comments, please put them in there. So if you're late to the call, draw a triangle on a piece of paper. We're talking about vision pulling us and pain pushing us into a new dynamic. And there's Timothy's beautiful triangle. So at the top of the triangle, I want you to write the word beliefs. So we're going to talk about beliefs. How do we get them? Where do we come from? How do we change them? How are they helping us? How are they hindering us? Are they supporting our vision, or are they sabotaging our vision? So what do you guys, so draw an arrow down now from the word belief on the right, drawing the arrow down to the right corner of the triangle. What do you think beliefs make you do? Anybody got a guess?
They give us certainty.
We believe, when we have a belief, it's because we're certain. Yeah.
And they cause us to act a certain way.
Yeah. So we're actions.
Yeah.
Bottom right is action. So our belief, because we believe it, because we're certain, like Krishna said, a belief really isn't a belief unless we're fairly certain of it. So certainty is what causes us to have a belief, and we act on our beliefs, whether we're conscious of it or not. That's what's running us, is our belief system. So now draw an arrow across the bottom of the triangle to the left point. And what do you think our actions create?
Results?
Yes. All right, the word results. So our beliefs create our actions create our results. And guess what? If we are acting in the same way, getting the same results over a period of time, what does it produce?
An identity.
It reinforces the beliefs.
Yep. Right? So the arrow goes back up to the beliefs.
Reinforces our identity as well. Yeah. It's like the world works this way. I am this way. Everybody is this way.
So we can get stuck in this triangle in a miserable way. It can also be wonderful. If the belief is wonderful and we're acting in a way that we believe that, I'm going to give a couple examples. So one belief that I have is that people are helpful and kind. And I have always gotten help. So my actions are to be available. Like if I've had a flat tire on the side of the road, I've always gotten help with that, whether it's been through AAA or some nice person to pull over and help me. But I believe that people are helpful and kind. I'm a helpful, kind person, and I believe others are too. And I could tell you a million stories in my life where people have been helpful and kind. That's just what I grew up with. I lived with a partner who believed that people were assholes. And boy, if he didn't have assholes in his life every day, like people being rude, not helpful. I mean, it's the funniest thing. So my belief served me. His belief didn't serve him. This is a simple example of how it's real. Beliefs are really not true or false. I mean, somebody told us for years that the color green is green, and we're all pretty certain it's green, so we believe it. But is it really green? I don't know. I have no idea. So our beliefs are not true or false. I want you to write that down because they feel true. We're so certain because we have so much evidence backing them up. We're certain and we'll argue it to the death that they're true, even if it doesn't serve us. So I'm asking you today to open your mind to the possibility that if it's not serving you, you don't have to continue being certain about it. And we're going to talk about how to do that. You guys can jump in anytime about that top thing.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, that if we identify that we're not happy with something in our life, it's not bringing us joy, then we can really examine it, become more aware of it, and decide that's not a belief I want to live with anymore. I want to create a different action, which will give me a different result, which will reinforce this new belief. And now we're back to creating vision and having the pull, rather than, oh my God, my life sucks so bad, I'm going to do something different because I can't stand this anymore. And I know personally, I want to be more in that pull than in the pain response. And that first step is really not being a victim, but owning this isn't working for me. And the only person I can actually rely on to make this change is first myself. And how do I do that? By examining what belief I'm working with. And you brought up one of finances in a way, or money. Well, no, you brought up the car thing, and it made me think of money. I have this belief that there's always enough. There's always enough money. I've never not had enough. Even when I was really, really hard and I didn't think there was enough, there ended up being enough. So I've dispelled the belief that there's not going to be enough money. It used to run me like, oh God, worrying about it all the time. Especially as a self-employed coach, month to month, it's like, okay, am I thriving or am I not? And it's been 10 years and I've not had a moment without, right? However, I've realized that belief of there's always enough money is actually still hindering me from creating a new belief, which is there's more than enough. And I'm really working at opening up myself to a belief that I am worthy of receiving so much more than I think I am, right? I'm worthy of receiving so much more because I trust myself to assign the value, money, whatever it is, time, to expanding love and creating more love in the world. Who doesn't want that? We all want that, right? And so then it helps me to start doing things differently. And I notice, I'm putting more focus on this or more attention to this, whether it's stocks or investing or whatever, and more open to the possibilities with this new belief that I am deserving of greater abundance. So that's my little story to kind of illustrate what Heidi's talking about.
Tim, thanks for sharing that. So we're talking about money beliefs here. I'm someone who believes that we choose the belief system that we want, and then we go create all these supporting beliefs around it. So if we're going to pick money, for example, I believe luck is where opportunity and preparation meet. It's not that I'm lucky, it's that I prepared. I have a belief system that abundance flows to me, and I believe the opportunity of a lifetime turns up roughly once a fortnight. So consequently, I see opportunities every single fortnight. I also believe in the principle of fair exchange. I don't want something for nothing, and I don't want nothing for something. So when we put all these belief systems together, it creates more and more support, because I keep finding more and more references and I keep getting better results.
I love it that you guys are sharing positive beliefs around money, because I know a lot of people struggle with that. So I'm typing these in the comment box so you guys can adopt them later. If you're hearing any beliefs that you want, grab them. If you're hearing any you don't want, we can trash them. That's the glory about doing this in a group.
Opportunity of a lifetime turns up roughly once a fortnight.
Love it. Love it, Krishna. So I'm going to take this on a little different spin just for a minute. It's the same, but oftentimes I hear in recovery, people say, well, I don't want to call myself an alcoholic. That's bad. It's negative. And they'll argue with somebody that thinks it's a good thing to call themselves an alcoholic. So I want to just share my own experience in this triangle with that belief. So I was one of those positive thinkers that thought that it was bad to call myself an alcoholic. So I believed that I could change my DNA. I believed that I could heal myself. I believed that I could somehow drink like a normal person. And because of that, I kept drinking. My actions were, let's test it out. Let's test it out. Let's test it out again on weekends, on night, on wine, on, whatever. You guys get it if you're a drinker. Then the results were sometimes blackouts, sometimes doing things that I didn't want to do, going against my values. And it perpetuated. So anyway, you go around, you get stuck in that. Me believing that I wasn't an alcoholic hurt me over and over and over and over and over again. So for me, it's now in my positive list. I put, I'm an alcoholic. My action is I don't put it in my body. I have a physical allergy that when it enters, it will hurt me. It's like poison. I don't drink poison. Don't have a desire to drink poison. So that's my new action. My result is a sober, amazing life. And then I can actually have opportunity to change my beliefs. So it's very relative what you're putting in your belief triangle. And again, I want to offer this simplicity around it. Does your belief serve you in the life you want? Does it sabotage you in the life you want? Me saying I'm not an alcoholic and trying to figure out how to drink sabotaged me for years. Me saying I'm an alcoholic supported the life I wanted.
That's a really interesting one. That's sorry, Tim, I'll go first and then you can come in.
Yeah.
When you talk about something like alcohol, being an alcoholic, and this is something I've contemplated. Oh, do I want to have belief systems there that I question whether they support me or not? And I do believe when it comes to our wounds, they never really go away. We just learn how to work with them better. And so with that in mind, I believe we need to own every part of our identity and make friends with it. And so if there's a part of me that is an alcoholic or an addict, let me recognize it. Let me honor that part of me. And let me protect that part of me too. Sorry, Tim, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, perfect. It leads right into what I'm just going to bring the same concept into more of a psychological realm, if you will. With alcoholism or substance abuse, we're often talking about a physical substance issue, and yes, changing the belief around it so that, as Krishna's saying and Heidi's saying, that we empower ourselves to take care of ourselves by owning, call it a weakness or just call it what it is, right? Like when I drink alcohol, I don't think correctly. I do things that I regret and it's bad for me, and so I'm not going to do it anymore. And I'm owning I'm an alcoholic. In a psychological realm, in my own thing, if I'm vulnerable, when my father divorced my mother, it created this idea that if you love someone and you let someone really love you, they're going to hurt you really, really bad. Whereas if you keep people who love you far away and don't let them really into your heart space, meaning stay out of intimacy, they can't hurt you. And in reality, you end up, for me, my experience was I ended up hurting myself, because I ended up not getting the fulfillment out of life that I really wanted and craved. And I let people who were not so good get really close to me. And this has gone on up until 3 years ago in various ways. And I kept thinking I was working on it, but I hadn't really changed the belief that people who get close are going to hurt me. My life experience, the results of my life were people who get close hurt you. Once I changed the belief that I cannot be hurt, I changed it to I cannot be hurt. I've got myself. I'm good. And I'm going to choose to let people who love me get really, really close and keep them in my field. And people who are also integral and a lot of other things, right? But the people who aren't trustworthy, aren't integral, don't really love me, I don't need to even let them come into the stadium, right? They don't even get to watch the game. And that has revolutionized my existence. Just that simple change. That has happened because of feeling my feelings, talking with a therapist, doing journaling, doing somatic movement practices, mindfulness. If I'm honest, also using therapeutic tools that go outside of the box with guides to really help me integrate all of this. So a bunch of different things. And I think Heidi at some point here is going to kind of start breaking down some ways in which we can shift our beliefs.
Yes, we will. I want to read some of the comments. I want to say hi to Daryl and Crystal and Candace. Thanks for being on. This is helpful. I've quit drinking, but tend to think since I'm doing so good, in quotes, at not drinking, that maybe I'm not an alcoholic. And I commented on there that my brain told me that many times as well. And, everyone has to have their own journey. For me, I had to prove to myself over and over and over again that that wasn't true by experimenting. And again, the pain pushing me. What I can say is the vision for my life doesn't include alcohol. So there was a time in my life when my vision included sitting with a glass of wine and having a nice time with people, but it was never the reality. I was the one drinking a couple things before I went to the table to, share a nice glass of wine with somebody so they wouldn't know I had 5 while they were having 1. And whenever I tried to control that, it didn't work. And I don't want to make this all about drinking, but I do want to say that those thoughts in my head that made me think I was fine so I could drink again, for me, were a lie that I learned to identify as a lie. So I don't listen to it anymore because it hurt me a lot.
Crystal further down brings up 2 different schools of thought around addiction, which I think are valid to bring out. And they may seem like they contradict each other. In my world, they don't. She says, interesting schools of thought. Teal Swan says that the route of addiction is feeling unsafe in relationships, starting in childhood. Others, Noah Levine of Refuge Recovery, says aversion to pain. And I think both those are true for me, that the belief that people were going to hurt me if I let them get close, ones I loved, caused me to create actions which kept those people out, which created greater loneliness, it was painful to live that way. And it often led me to compensating with sexual stimulation in order to compensate with that loneliness and that pain. And so I became sexually compulsive, one might say sexually addicted to sexual behavior, in order to compensate for the loneliness. So I think the 2 things do go together. Often, why shoot up heroin every day? Makes you feel good, takes away the pain, right? And often when we start talking with someone who's a heroin addict, there's a lot of reasons for them to have so much pain and to want to get away from it. And those are usually sourced in childhood and other experiences.
I'm going to comment on that lately. And again, I don't want to make it a talk all about that, but I want to bring it back to the beliefs. So if we keep this really simple today, is the belief serving you and creating the vision you have for your life, or is it not? And so this is the same around addiction. For me, I didn't want to believe it was true. I couldn't totally heal myself because I thought healing myself meant I could drink normally. What I discovered for me is that healing myself was abstaining from it. The belief that I had to adopt through a lot of research was that for me, it's genetic. And I went through a lot of childhood trauma. I could fit in both those schools of thought that were just posted, definitely. But I believe in my discovery, I thought if I healed my past childhood trauma, my sexual trauma, my mommy daddy issues, that I could drink safely. That's what I was hell-bent to do. And for me, I had to adopt the belief that it's a physical allergy. And I've done a lot of research. I'm not trying to preach it to you. I had to adopt this belief so that I could live into the vision of my life that is without alcohol. I had to believe, and I have adopted the belief that it's genetic, and it wouldn't matter what I went through as a child. I was born that way. And watch the research in the brain, that a brain of an alcoholic processes it differently than a person who is a non-alcoholic. So there's lots of people that use strategies. Timothy and I talk a lot about strategies to meet precious needs. A strategy can be compulsive overeating. It can be abusing alcohol. To me, that is different than addiction. Addiction is also a strategy to soothe, to numb the pain, to do whatever we're wanting it to do. However, the extra component is you're making a chemical in your brain that is not being made in other people that are taking alcohol into their system. And once that chemical is made, you don't have control or choice anymore.
I just want to throw what Heidi's saying like on a spectrum, that both are, all these are true. And for some people, it's important to identify, yes, I have some childhood pain and everything else. And yes, alcohol numbs it, helps numb it. And now that I've healed all that, I still am drawn to alcohol. And when I take it, I still lose it. And I'm having a physical addiction. But that doesn't mean that there isn't someone else who is an alcoholic, not because of a physical addiction, but because of just dealing with the pain or the childhood stuff. And then once they heal all of that, they still may choose no alcohol because this doesn't serve me, but they might be able to. I do have a couple of clients who have gotten to the place where they can have a social beer or this or that, and they have that all under wraps. I am not saying that for anybody who thinks that they can go and drink alcohol and then, I haven't had alcohol in a year, I'm going to go try again. Please don't. You're better off without it, right? But that's the way I look at it too, is my addictive self. I know when it's saying, Timothy, just go do this and it'll be okay. You haven't done it in a while. You're past that now. You're over that. I can hear that voice. I'm seeing from a mile away. I'm like, hi, addict. Mm-hmm. What's going on in my life inside that you're up and talking to me like this? Mm. And then I usually notice other parts of me that are sad or unhappy and just need some love and some attention. And then the addict voice tends to go down. But that's different than someone who has a physical addiction to heroin. Their life could be going great. And most heroin addicts I've worked with, even 9 years later, they still have a desire for the substance. I know with me, with nicotine, it's like, it's not about reducing pain. It's about a friggin' lot of nicotine. And I choose just no. Not if I just smoke one, it's like I'm back and it'll kill me. I've had cancer and my rate of recovery was reduced because I smoked for so many years. So I just want to put it on that spectrum that you have to figure it out and decide. And I do believe in the research that many of us are addicted to certain things more than other people.
So following up from what Tim's saying and what Heidi said a moment ago, if here's a belief, I am an alcoholic, I'm not an alcoholic, for example, as a belief, why do we want to change that belief so bad? Is it that we miss the taste of alcohol? Because I don't think that's it. I actually believe sometimes there's shame in a label. Sometimes we're ashamed of saying I'm an alcoholic or whatever our addiction is. So what if we actually learn to love the label? Because then we're loving all parts of ourselves. We're honoring all parts of ourselves. And if there's no shame in saying, oh, I'm an alcoholic, then we can actually work with it. And then we will attract people into our life who accept it because we've taught them that we accept that part of ourselves.
I really love that, taking the shame out of it. And I love labels. I say name it to tame it. And a lot of people don't like labels. So I love that you said, love the label. I think I hear that from you a lot, Krishna, when we've had conversations, and it always touches my heart because I know that you believe it so deeply and have embraced that in your life. And maybe there was a time in your life where you didn't love all parts of yourself. And I really see you living into that and the beauty of it. And I think that it's such an important message that I don't want to bypass today, because we are never going to be perfect. At least your idea of perfect. You are perfect right now, in my opinion. There's nothing broken, nothing needs to be fixed. But we have this idea of what we're supposed to be. And as humans, we're perfect just the way we are in whatever experience we're in right then. And can we love the alcoholic in us? Can we love the part that loves to overgive to others and gets exhausted? Can we love, and not to say that to minimize working on it, but to embrace who we are in this moment and not have shame that we are working on something, or that we'd like something to change, or we'd like to outgrow something.
Yeah. I believe we've all got stuff to work on. That's part of the human existence. And some people have more socially acceptable addictions than others. One of my addictions is achievement. I love making money. That's very socially acceptable. And I have a different relationship with alcohol. I can have it, I can not have it. I have a certain number of drinks that I'm good with. One I'm happy with. Two, okay. Three, I notice the difference in my body. I notice the difference. I cannot do it. So I have, in that sense, a great relationship with it. But I've also learned that I need to love that as well. And I've learned the things that I'm good with and the things that I'm not good with. So we're talking here about beliefs. If the belief is that I'm an alcoholic and people are saying, should I hold on to that belief because I've done the work? I've worked on my childhood issues. I've worked on my relationship issues. Why do they need to change the belief? Is it the social stigma around the label? Is it the love of the chemical substance that they're craving? Because if so, they're probably still addicted, maybe. Or is it they want to feel they're graduated? And if it's a feeling of graduation we want, then my learned belief here is our wounds stay with us for life. The scar at least stays there. And we actually have to honor it and recognize that.
I like it. So would you guys like to jump into how to use this triangle to help yourselves at home? So I would love if I can use a belief from you, Krishna. If you have one negative belief you know that you don't want, it doesn't support your vision, can you come up with one? It can be complicated or simple, doesn't matter. Just one that you know you don't want anymore. And we'll work it through the triangle, and you guys can do it at home. So write one negative belief you have at the top where beliefs are.
You know what? I'm going to start with one that's been with me all my life. I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough. Okay. So they're common. I have one, I'm not important. And, so go around. So we'll do yours, Krishna. So if you're at home, write your belief at the top. So, and then you ask yourself this question. Okay, because of this belief, what actions have I taken in my life? So what actions have you taken in your life because of that?
Oh, I've become an achiever. I have been to university. I became a lawyer. I have gone into business. I've taken risks. I've done so much self-development work. I add so much value wherever I go. I'm a giver. Wow, I've done so much because of this belief.
And so you've had probably both negative and positive results from all those actions. So can you break that down a little bit? Like, what has been some of the negative impact of the results of all that achievement?
I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't take enough time for me.
Okay, so can you guys follow this? I'm not enough. He takes all these amazing actions that are very accepted in public, and as a result, I'm exhausted. And what would exhaustion, tired, and all that, if I'm doing all these amazing things that I love and that people love, and it takes all my energy away, guess what he believes? I'm not enough to do all those amazing things. Right? Do you guys see it? Are you seeing it at home? So what would you like to replace that? Oh, go ahead, Timothy, jump in before I go on to the replacement. No? Okay.
You're doing great. I was just like moving.
Okay. So what would you like to replace that belief with, Krishna?
I am divine perfection.
I love that. So right at the top of your paper, I'm divine perfection. So think about if you're at home doing this exercise, take your negative belief, write all the actions you do because of it. His were kind of what we would say as positive actions, but it gave him some negative results. It also gave him a lot of positive results as well. But you can see the negative results perpetuated his belief. So nothing is black and white. So it's a great example that he gave. But so right at the top, your negative belief, what are the actions you take because of it? What are the results? And do they perpetuate that negative belief? Then we're going to look at what is the replacement belief that we want. So his is, I am divine perfection. So Krishna, if you really believed with your whole being that you're divine perfection, what actions would you take differently?
I would slow down. I would take time for me. I would I would practice compassionate boundaries. I'd start saying no more. I'd say I have enough, I am enough. I'd refer people to someone else.
So you write the actions that you would take if you really believed the new belief. And you have to stretch into it because obviously if we believed it, we wouldn't be doing this exercise. So you imagine the belief you want. You imagine the actions you would take if you really took it. What results would be different in your life if you were taking those actions and really believed that?
You know what? My relationships would be different. My relationships would be less codependent because I do a lot for people. I attract people who want to be around that. I'd have a lot more time for me. I'd be a lot more, I would nurture myself a lot more.
And
I'd
what
have a lot more
belief
patience
would
in the
that perpetuate?
That I'm divine perfection.
Yeah. So this is the first way around the triangle. And you still might have the question of how do we change the belief? So I want to talk a little bit about that. And then I'd love to hear from Krishna and Timothy how they think beliefs can be changed. So one way to start changing beliefs, because I'm going to give the diet analogy. So all of you have probably tried to eat some way in your life, whether it was for health or weight loss or whatever. We've all tried something usually. And so that's taking a different action. But if we have an unconscious belief we can't stick to it, or that, whatever it is that might be sabotaging us, we can't stick to those actions long enough to change the results, to change the belief. So we're going about it backwards when we only change the action. We want to get into action, but we need support around the action. So to do a new action long enough to create a new belief, we need support from others. We need to have faith, like having evidence, looking for evidence of the contrary. So I know for me, when I have a negative belief, I have a lot of evidence to back it up. Like if I have the I'm not important belief or I'm not enough, a lot of things people do perpetuate that belief. See, that means I'm not important. See, that means I'm not important. And so start looking for evidence that your new belief is true. You will find it. It is out there. And we start looking for evidence. I did this in recovery. My sponsor told me, start looking for evidence there's a higher something working in your life, Heidi. I'm like, no, there's not. And when you start looking for evidence, it starts rocking the certainty of that negative belief. So you want to rock the certainty, because we only believe something if we're certain. So if we start rocking the certainty by looking for evidence of the contrary, it'll start whittling away at that belief. Simultaneously, we start taking the actions that perpetuate the new belief. Those are some of the ways I know to get at a belief system. Also being aware, just having the awareness you don't want it anymore, it isn't serving you, starts whittling away at it. What are some ideas you guys have of changing beliefs?
Yeah, I've got several. I'm happy to go first.
Go ahead, Christian.
So first thing I do is I would envision my life the way I want it. And as I'm envisioning my life, I then say, okay, well, what beliefs do I need that would support creating that life.
Mm.
And then I actually look at the old beliefs I have which don't support that life. And I would say, well, whose beliefs are they? I mean, of course they're mine, but where do they come from?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that was my father's belief. Well, I don't need that one. Oh, and that was my ex-wife's belief. Well, I don't carry that one.
Mm-hmm.
And once I recognize that they're not actually my beliefs, I can give them back.
I love it.
Sometimes it's not as easy saying, I'll just give that back, it's hers. Sometimes I have to create some uncertainty around that. Kind of like a table with 3 legs, or it becomes a bit wobbly. Or it's a table with 4 legs, and you take one leg off and it becomes 3. And at that point it becomes wobbly. And when I've made the belief wobbly, then I can smash it. Then the old one goes. And then I can create the new one.
I like it. Thank you.
I go a couple of different ways with it. One is often just disrupting your life in a positive way. So if you know you don't exercise enough, getting a membership at the gym, hiring a trainer, or getting a friend to agree to go, because if you don't, you'll have to pay the money every month, but you won't go. So if your friend is there at 1 o'clock, you're more likely to show up because he's going, or he or she's going to say, Timothy, where are you? But that you get yourself into a new pattern just in some area that you do know you would like to improve. And so I'm almost working the opposite way, actions. And then that starts to reveal, wow, I'm really stuck in my comfort and my ease, and it's not actually good for my body. It's not healthy. And so I'm going to change my belief, and I'm going to get the support by having the friend move me there. And the same in food, sleep, hydration, kind of the basic things of keeping the body healthy. Because when the body's functioning, when we have health, it's easier to be aware of what's going on in the mind. When you're starving, or you're sleep deprived, or you're not physically exercising, taking care of yourself, you're going to find that your negative beliefs have more power. So that's one thing I would address, is just looking at those aspects of your life. How well are you taking care of yourself? But if I go right into it, most people are afraid to really look at the beliefs that go beyond themselves. We live in societies and cultures and in a world where there are a lot of beliefs that have been placed upon us or passed on to us. For example, in France, people are socialists, and they believe that socialism is the way. Norway, Sweden, Finland, very socialist. And in America, when we say that word, it often triggers communism, which for some reason triggers like the government controlling your entire life and you have no freedom and it's Big Brother, George Orwell. When in reality, Karl Marx did not write about that. That's not what communism is. It's really about sharing and everyone taking care of each other. And we believe capitalism is the best and is the way. I'm not really citing either way right now, but notice just as I bring these words up, most people, I bet Krishna or even Heidi, are having some kind of internal reaction. And yet in America, most of us believe wholeheartedly that and we don't really see it this way, but corporate republic capitalism that we call democracy is the way, and that it's serving all of us. And I would question that if we really start to examine and look at that table, I would bet there's really one leg missing already. It's pretty wobbly. And if you do some research, I think you might then come up with a new vision for the world. And hopefully that we would all begin to take better care of ourselves and each other. And I'm kind of pushing this out of our personal stuff now, because I think a lot of us are afraid to look at it. And I'll give one more example. Most people, men, in my experience, because I was raised on a playground where we played Smear the Queer. And the worst thing that you could say to someone was, you faggot. You did not want to be a faggot. And a faggot was somebody who liked other men. Where's the shame in that? if you really start to look at this belief that was laid on me as a young kid, there's really nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with loving my brother or my father and embracing them. And it's not homosexuality. But even if I did have a friend where I started to feel these things, no shame, no guilt in that. It's okay. And I don't even have to be a homosexual to like another man or like to cuddle with another man or do more with another man. But even again, as I talk, I'm sure some of you listening are like, ooh. And so beliefs are scary things sometimes to really look at, really question. And the gold on the other side of facing our fears and our fantasies, our desires, is freedom, is liberation, is truly having the ability to choose on a larger, more expanded level. In Krishna's belief, I want to know that I am divine perfection. Well, I believe to have that, we've got to be willing to question all the beliefs that get in the way and love them and integrate them, kind of go behind the curtain. So that was my little soapbox.
I want to say thank you, Crystal, for being with us. She said she had to go back to work and she'll listen to the rest later. So thank you for being with us. Thank you all for whoever is listening. And Timothy, I love that you brought that up because we have, and Krishna also brought it up, that we have beliefs that are ours. We have group consciousness beliefs that have been imposed upon us. We have parental beliefs that were given down to us generation after generation. And again, your beliefs are not true or false. They're true in your life to the degree that you act on them. And you have an opportunity to reevaluate, to change, to look for new evidence, to discover what is your truth and what are the beliefs that serve you in living your best life and your best truth and your values. They don't have to be what's been passed down. They don't have to be, I mean, I love that you brought up like different countries because I was just doing a session with someone around sexuality. And what we're taught in our family of origin, what we're taught in religion is so drastically different than European countries. And nobody's right or wrong here, you guys. It's what's right or wrong for you as an individual. Is it hurting you? Is it harming you? Is it serving you? And these are the questions to be asking yourself and to reevaluate what is okay for you. I'm just going to tell a little story about that. I grew up in a family where I never saw my mom naked. Like being naked was shameful. Sex was a lot of shame around sex. I won't totally go into it. So fast forward, I was pretty liberated with my daughters and pretty open about it. And even with all that liberation I thought I had, my oldest daughter moved to Germany. And we went to Germany, my youngest daughter and I, to visit her and her host family, who is totally awesome. I love them. They're amazing people, wonderful people, great values. I mean, I just adore them. They wanted to take us around and show us some things. And one of the things they were so proud to show us was the Reeperbahn in Hamburg, Germany, which is where the prostitutes are and the porn shops and so my 14-year-old and I are in a porn shop together walking through, and they're just so proud showing us this whole area of Germany. Like no shame around it. And even with all the work I've done, me and my daughter were like holding on to each other. We were giggling like little kids, like, oh my God, we can't believe we're doing this. I can't believe I'm here with my 14-year-old. And it was so embarrassing for me. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about that or good about that, just noticing the way that I grew up was so different than that. And so we need to figure out inside us what we need to live into. And that's why I come up with stuff like this, because I like to break things down. And hopefully this was a little more simple than complicated, but really bringing it to, are your beliefs serving you and helping you live into the vision you want, or are they sabotaging you and keeping you from the life you want? The sex you want, the relationship you want, like ad infinitum.
I'd say the same thing Heidi's saying, just in the words of, do my beliefs create more opportunity, more freedom, more love in my life, or do they limit me, reduce, contract? So basically we're looking at, do my beliefs allow me to expand and grow, or are they limiting me and contracting? do they serve me? Heidi's language.
How about you,
I
Krishna?
look at them. I would be, so in terms of how I would language it, I would be saying, do my beliefs lead me to my ultimate life? Are my beliefs serve the life I want to create for myself? And often they don't. And when I ask myself that question, it brings it to my awareness where they might not be.
So I know that I've heard a lot in the group conscious that people believe that nothing comes for free. So I'm going to give evidence contrary to that belief and show Yoga by Carly Lynn. My daughter in Germany did a free 10-day yoga challenge. So you can find it on YouTube. They're half-hour yoga sessions and they're all free to you. And there's 10 days in a row and you can start whatever 10 days you want. You can do it over 20 or 30 days. But she's on YouTube at Carly Chrisanel, and it's Yoga by Carly Lynn. And that is a gift she did for New Year's to help people feel good. And I think living a recovered, sober life, yoga is one of those things that can help your mind, body, and spirit feel good. And Timothy's going to tell you about another free thing that we do.
Just putting Carly Lynn in the chat box. The other free thing that we do, help me out, Heidi, you got me like stumped here.
Our sessions, Timothy.
Oh, yes, we do free intake calls. Thank you. I just did one the other day with family, and I think we're going to start working together. And it's so nice to get to speak with a potential client or person to work with and really get a feel for what it is that they want to expand, change, evolve, improve in their life, and to assess, am I the right person to help them with this? And if not, give them other resources, or great, let's go. And also just to explain how each of us work, because Heidi works a little differently than me, even though we share similar beliefs around how to work. Our languaging is often almost identical, and a lot of our processes probably are, but we do it each in a different way. And we both have, I know her sweet spot is a little different than mine, even though they're the same, they're similar. So if you want, you can look on our websites and find our email addresses. And on our websites, you've got my phone number, Heidi's phone number. Just call us, and we'd be glad to set up a free 20-minute to half hour. Usually they go a little longer for me, but call. And I assure you that if you just get even 20 minutes with Heidi or I, you're going to walk away with some nugget, some tool, some insight, something that you didn't experience before. So it will be of value to you. That's our free thing. I thought she was talking about, and this is going to happen on January 23rd. Heidi and I are teaching a class on mastering jealousy and really using jealousy as a way to learn about yourself and improve your relationships rather than be something that you just don't want to deal with. And that won't be free. That'll be $19.95. And if you buy the whole series that Love Coach Academy is offering, I think it's $190 or something. And that includes
find that info, Timothy.
At Love Coach Academy. We should be posting that info soon. I hope to have a flyer next week that we can pop up here on the screen and put a direct link.
What was the date of that day?
They start. Yeah, they start on the 23rd. Excuse me. That's Scott Katamas, the Grand Poobah of Love Coach Academy, will be leading the one on the 23rd. And after that, you'll have master love coaches like Heidi and myself teaching Saturday classes. Heidi and I will be doing the 30th and then February 27th. And we'll give you more information about all of that and how to sign up. It's basically a lead-in to Relationship Essentials, which all three of us have done as students. And I know I'm going to be auditing the next one and teaching some of the classes. I've done a lot of work and a lot of workshops, and I would say relationship essentials and working on empathy and a lot of other things that relationship essentials goes over has revolutionized my own relationship with myself and with others. I definitely believe in it, and that's why I'm a part of Love Coach Academy. So we're doing 11 Saturdays leading up to Relationship Essentials, and then there'll be, you'll be told about what Relationship Essentials is, how much it costs. And again, I think Relationship Essentials is one of the best values I've gotten for my money as far as personal growth work goes, if not the best, right up there.
Thank you, Krishna, and thank you, Timothy. Any last words, Krishna?
Beliefs have changed my life, or rather the awareness of beliefs, knowing how to change them, knowing how to create empowering beliefs. Stick with it. There's a lot of gold in today's show.
Thank
you,
guys.
Heidi, for having me. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Krishna, for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have your presence with us.
Yeah, I just love your energy. It's fantastic. Both of you have blessed me today. I love being with like-minded people and love all the great ideas and communication. So we will see you guys next Tuesday, same time, same place, Facebook Live, and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Recovery Talk. And again, please reach out to us, and we are here to support you. Make it a great day.